What is going on, guys? So this is gonna be the first video for my channel. Basically we're doing an S10 build. I purchased a 88 S10 extended cab short box. I have built one of these before, probably 10 years ago, and I've just wanted to do it again ever since. I moved, sold it, and it was kind of depressing. So now we're building another one. I purchased this truck a couple days ago. It is fairly clean. It did come with a turbo 350, good price. Someone also cut a hole in the box to get the fuel pump. A lot lazy people. It's in fairly good shape, 2.8 with a 5-speed. A little bit of rust right here coming through on the fender, which is not a huge deal. I wanted something with a good frame, good cab, and just not very much rust or rot. I don't know what's up with this motor. Someone pulled the valve cover. It looked like maybe they were trying to get it running at some point. It may have had some issues, but that's just gonna come right out of there, obviously, and maybe try and sell it, but we'll see. Someone might want the transmission. No seats. Someone kind of started taking apart the interior. Panels are there, dash. No headliner, but that's all right. A couple odds and ends still kicking around in here. So basically the idea is to get it torn down, get everything out. This is going to be a super budget build. Very, very, very budget. And we're going to try and get it done in just a couple of months, 3-4 months maybe. Get it all done. Full cab off, redo the frame, clean it all up. Try and get an 8.8 rear end, throw that in there. And then just throw a simple small block in it. 350 or 327, something like that. Cam, Vortec heads, carb intake. Something simple that I can cruise in, take to the track, and just be reliable. And maybe in the future, do some other mods. Maybe just do a different motor, LS swap. We'll see. But we're just going to do it super cheap, budget, and like a really low budget. And I'll just take you through the steps as I do it. I've done this once before. It's not the hardest thing in the world, but once they're done, they're super fun trucks, really fun to drive, and just yeah, all around sweet trucks. I'll put a picture up of my last one. It was an 88 as well, and I put a 4-bolt main 350 in it, 194 heads, just a big cam, carb intake, with a turbo 350 with a shift kit, and it went well. We only have 1/8 mile up here, no 1/4 mile, and it used to run 8.0s in the 1/8 mile, which I was really happy with. It performed really well, it was really reliable, very consistent, and yeah. Here's a little tip, trick, something that you might already know. But sometimes when you lift a vehicle in the air, it's more likely in neutral. If you're on a 2-post, you'd roll it into position, right? So when you go to remove the drive shaft, if you try to take the bolts out, the drive shaft's going to spin because the vehicle's in neutral. So a simple trick is what you can do is either you can use an impact. But if your bolts are fairly rusty and you don't want them to break or anything like that, I wouldn't recommend it. Use a ratchet. You can see it spins, right? Which is not what you want. It's not ideal. So what you do is take a pry bar, put it in between the ears, pinion, drive shafts and the pinion, and then that will hold your drive shaft forward. So you crack the bolts free. Now that you know they're not they're on C's and they're not going to break, you can then come in here with an impact and zip them out. This truck's pretty old. It's an 88, and you can see that the bolts are pretty rusty. I have had these break before on other trucks. It is a big. When they break, that one was a little gnarly coming out. But when they break, it sucks. You're drilling and trying to get that bolt out, or you're replacing the pinion, which you don't really want to do, or the pinion flange. So yeah, little quick tip. And then let's come in here with a pry bar behind the U-joint. We'll go. There she is. Just give it a little pump. So far what I've done is I've removed the drive shaft from the diff. I've unbolted the steady bearing from the cross member. So this should lift up. So that drive shaft now is it's ready to come out. I also went around and sprayed everything with penetrating fluid. You can see all the spider webs. This thing's been sitting for a long time. And I sprayed there. I cut the exhaust out because that's not something we're going to need, so I just took the Sawzall, cut it out. Now it's over there. Sprayed the motor mounts and anything under here that you think you have to take off. You have to pull this slave cylinder off. That'll be next. Any wiring, anything like that. And then we'll get into the motor mounts. Kind of tucked up in there a little bit, but they're not too bad. Come out pretty easy. And then we'll lower it back down and start going through front end stuff. Okay guys, so here's what's been done. Right here is where the speedo cable went. It's just a 10mm bolt and a retainer clip. Let's pop it out, fairly decent. Right there was the slave cylinder, a couple nuts, that comes out. And then I did remove the starter out of here to get access to that motor mount. It's a little tucked up in there. So I pulled the starter out, got that motor mount out, and then came around to this side here, and then there is the other motor mount, which is ready to come out. I just got the nut off. There's the other one. So I do need to drain the coolant, unclip the fuel lines, and I believe that will be about it for under here. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but this starter looks fairly close to a small block starter. If I'm wrong, I might be wrong, but it looks pretty close. It's been a while. Yes, so pull that drive shaft out. Get those fuel lines off, drain the coolant, and we can lower it down. Okay, so we are at the top. First, we're going to start off with just getting the coolant out of the truck, and then just start removing accessories, wiring, stuff like that. All the hoses, fan shroud, fan, heater hoses, AC lines, air intake, all that sorts of stuff. Pretty simple. Power steer lines, we just basically want to get this thing out of here. So once it's all unbolted and everything's torn apart, then I'll proceed to take the front clip off. You can pull the motor without pulling the front clip. It just makes it so much easier for when you're building your motor mounts and putting the small block in there and doing the headers and exhaust and all that stuff, just to have this whole thing off. The nice thing with the Chevys is the entire clip from the doors forward can come off. where a Ford it's all one piece, so it's kind of a pain. So yeah, we're just gonna start tearing into this thing, start getting all these hoses, lines, electrical, just all the odds and ends removed off the motor.
White Crow.
Okay guys, quick update. So we took the coolant hoses off, drained the rad, drained the block, removed the radiator, clutch fan, power steering lines, all the power and grounds. Yeah, we're pretty close to getting the front clip off now. We have to do the main wiring harness still, pull that off. So you can see the power steering is all unhooked, the rad is out, clutch fan's out, all the heater hoses are off. The power and ground were ran up from the starter and came up here to the battery box, so that is all unhooked. And we just need to do this main wiring harness. There's some plugs in the back, the distributor that all need to come off, and then we need to get the wiring detached from the PCM, or whichever you call it, BCM, for all the headlights, high beams, stuff like that, marker lights. So we'll do that, remove the hood, and start taking the bolts out from inside the doorway, fenders, front bumper, all that stuff, and then yard it out. I don't know if we'll have time today to do that. What's going on, guys? So it's been a while since I've worked on the truck, to be honest. You can see I'm clean shaven now, haircut, fresh. And yeah, I've slowly putting a little bit of time into it. We got to the point where the motor was almost ready to come out. It just needs the shifter removed and a bit of the wiring. And that's where I'm at right now. And I need to just pull it out. We got the front clip off. That's all done. As you can see, she's a little surface rusty, but that's okay. The main harness is going in behind here, which I need to pull some plugs off the distributor and down by the starter. I just kind of want to pull the motor forward so I can locate all the power wires for the power, like the distributor, the starter, all that stuff, because I want it to still function with the key versus just installing some switches and running a whole new set of wiring like most people do and what I've actually done in the past. So that is getting done. Work has been absolutely nuts, just slowly still running through so many quads, and we're just hair straight back right now, so that's why it's taking a little bit of time to get at the truck. A couple things I did gather, some parts. I got a couple summer racing seats and a B&M ratchet shifter. I also was able to get Transdap kit for the motor mounts, a set of Headman headers, just used, super cheap, 60 bucks. Just had to buy header bolts and gaskets, which was another like $20, not a big deal. And then what we have done also is I had a buddy who runs a tow truck company, and he was able to get his hands on a truck that got wrapped around a pole. It was a 97 half ton with a 350 in it, Vortec 5.7. So he wanted the tranny out of it. He let me pull the motor and tranny out so he could keep the transmission, and I was able to keep the motor. So now we've located our small block that we're going to be putting into it. Ordered a Performance World intake so we can swap it from all the fuel injection stuff over to carburetor. It's a direct bolt up, and it's going to work perfect. So yeah, we're just going to get this motor out here and then prep the 350 with some paint, get the headers on, put the tranny and converter on. Oh yeah, I also got a 2700 3000 stall converter from a buddy, so that's going to go in there as well. And yeah, so we haven't made much headway with the truck, but I have been slowly collecting, and a little bit of work getting that motor out and stuff. It's on the stand. I have it torn down. I took the pulley and accessory kit off the front, all the serpentine stuff, and we were able to sell that, and that paid for the headers and half the intake, so we're good there. Yeah, that's pretty well it. Quick update, and yeah, we're gonna pull the shifter out.
Purchase your track today.
Okay, so there's that. Good old T5.